How's it going, guys? In today's video, I'm giving you my predictions for the NHL 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs. Also, I'll actually be comparing this to an EA simulation of the playoffs in NHL 18. So I'm going to start off here, guys, with my predictions. If you missed last year's video, they didn't go so well. In my personal opinion, I think we'll be seeing Ovechkin's first ever Stanley Cup.
You suck!
So definitely going to try and do better this year. First round here, we have Nashville versus Colorado. Now, Colorado obviously making the playoffs is like a Cinderella story. Last place team getting into the playoffs. They like doubled their points. McKinnon's an absolute beast right now, but Nashville, in my opinion, is probably the best or second best team in the West. It's like them and Winnipeg, in my opinion. They're just so stacked. They were all the way to the Stanley Cup final last year. I think Nashville definitely beats Colorado. The next round here, we have Winnipeg against Minnesota. So again, like I just said, I think Winnipeg's either the best or second best. It's them and Nashville at the top of the West. Plus, Minnesota just lost Ryan Suter, so I think the Jets get this done. Really feel bad for Minnesota. It seems like they're always losing first round of the playoffs, and I think that's going to be the case again this year. The next round here, this is a tough one. We have the Vegas Golden Knights versus the LA Kings. Now, Golden Knights won the Pacific as an expansion team. Some of these guys have been in the playoffs before. They've never been in the playoffs, obviously, as a team. I don't know if that really matters. Fleury's a very good goalie. He kind of carried Pittsburgh to the conference final last year. This is probably like one of the toughest first round matchups because you really don't know what's going to happen. The Kings, on the other hand, obviously are just beasts when they get to the playoffs. Kopitar, gets to their level. Same with Doughty, same with Quick. And I think they're going to edge out Vegas, but I think it'll be a very close series, probably like 7 games. Next matchup here with the Ducks versus Sharks. Obviously, Battle of California. I think two pretty similar teams, but I do like Anaheim a bit more. They have better forward depth, in my opinion. They have a better D core. Obviously, Burns is probably the best defenseman of the two teams, but Anaheim definitely has more depth on D. And Gibson has been playing really good hockey this past month, so if he can keep that up, I think the Ducks will edge out the Sharks. Although, again, like the other matchup, I think it'll be a very close series. Another thing to note, too, the Sharks are going to be without Thornton for at least the first game. He may return during the series, but there's a chance he doesn't, so obviously that's a big blow for them if he doesn't come back in time. And moving on now to the Eastern Conference, first matchup here with the Lightning versus the Devils. Sort of like Colorado, the Devils are a bit of a Cinderella story. They finished like 6th last year, made it to the playoffs. Taylor Hall, just like McKinnon, having an MVP year, but I think it runs up here against the Lightning. The Lightning are just so stacked. Probably, in my opinion, the best team in the NHL. Just looking at every single position, their forward depth is unreal. They have two of the best players in the game, Stamkos and Kucherov. Their defensive depth might be the best in the league. Then you have Vasilevsky, a very good young goalie who's just been on another level this year. I don't see the Devils getting by the Lightning. Now, the next matchup here, this might be the best series of the first round. You have Boston versus Toronto, the second and third best teams in the East. Or I think actually it might be second and fourth because Capitals were like tied or something. But still, like two of the best teams matched up in the first round. This one's going to be crazy, and I think Toronto fans, or I think the Toronto team finally gets their revenge on Boston for, 2013, and beats the Bruins there. Moving on to play the Lightning. In the Metro here with the Capitals versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, this is another very good series, I think. And honestly, this one was giving me a lot of trouble. I think both teams are very solid. And honestly, I think Columbus gets it done. Obviously, Washington has Ovi, they have Backstrom, but Columbus' D-depth is so much better than Washington's. And I think in a 7-game series, it's going to start wearing down on Washington. Columbus is going to find their way through. Goalies, I think, is a wash. Bobrovsky and Holtby are both very good. It's pretty much tied. And in the final matchup of the first round here, one of the best rivalries in the NHL, Pittsburgh versus Philly. Battle of Pennsylvania. And I think Pittsburgh wins this one. Philly's a good team, but Pittsburgh's just on another level. Back-to-back cups. Better forward depth by a lot. Better defensive depth, way better goaltending. I just don't think that's going to be a close one. So second round now, Nashville versus Winnipeg. Like I was saying, I think these are the two best teams in the West. It sucks they can't meet in the conference final. Honestly, I'm doing this right now. This is so close. I think Winnipeg's forwards are probably better. Nashville's defense is probably better, although it's close. Also, guys, in regards to the goaltending, I think I give a slight edge to Nashville, as Rene's been here before, veteran goalies, played however many playoff games, and Hellebuck, obviously, came into his own this year, had a very good season, but I don't think he's ever played a playoff game, so can Nashville get back to the conference final in back-to-back years? I feel like they can. Honestly, I was going back and forth for this one, except, I really like Winnipeg. It's just, I think Nashville, the Winnipeg's the younger team. I think they win that first series, but then Nashville's just been too good this year, especially they added Tolvanen if he ends up being a playmaker. So next year with the LA Kings and the Anaheim Ducks, another Battle of Cali, basically a rematch. So this one, I think the Ducks get by the Kings. I really like the Ducks. They're always in it in the playoffs. And I think this is actually a rematch of last year's conference final, Preds versus Ducks. So that could be interesting if that goes down. Eastern Conference here, Tampa Bay versus Toronto. This is going to be another very, very good matchup. Unfortunately, though, for Maple Leafs fans, I think the Lightning are just too much. I think next year is Maple Leafs year, 2019, but 2018 is probably the year of the Lightning, like I was saying, just the best team in the league in my opinion. Pittsburgh, Columbus, this is a rematch of last year's first round between those two teams, and I think it's the same ending though. Second round matchup, but Pittsburgh gets it done. They're just too stacked, I think. So here we go, conference final, Nashville versus Anaheim. Obviously, I thought Nashville and Winnipeg were the best two teams in the West, so I think Nashville gets back to the Stanley Cup final for back-to-back years. Now, we're not going to have like a Golden State Cleveland thing here. I think Pittsburgh gets one round away here from the third straight Stanley Cup final, but Tampa Bay is going to beat them again. In my opinion, the two best teams in the East, but Tampa Bay's forward depth's like slightly better than Pittsburgh's. Defensive depth is definitely better, and then goaltending, I think honestly you give the edge to Tampa Bay. Although Murray does play very well in the playoffs, Vasilevskiy just had such a better regular season. And now, guys, we're on to the Stanley Cup final, Nashville Predators versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. And honestly, I think it's going to be heartbreak for Nashville. Back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and walking away each time without the Stanley Cup, as the winner of the Stanley Cup is going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they're just too good. They've came, so close in the past, 5-6 years. They've always had such a stacked team, and I think this is the year they finally get it done. You have arguably two top 5 players in the world in Stamkos and Kucherov, who are just unreal. You have one of the best second lines in hockey with Palat, Point, and Johnson. The D-core they have, honestly, might be the best D-core in hockey. Like, it's just unreal. And they most likely have a Vezina Trophy winner in Andrei Vasilevskiy. So, I don't see anyone stopping the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, there's a good chance I'm wrong here somewhere, or I'll definitely be wrong here somewhere. Hopefully, I get most of these picks right. Like I was saying, last year, I did a pretty poor job, but obviously in the comments section, let me know what your guys' picks are. Next up, though, we have the EA Sim, and let's see what happens there. So for the simulation, guys, obviously we have 16 teams, the best of 7 series, 20-minute periods, continuous OT, difficulty superstar, and game style full sim, so the most authentic settings to hopefully give us the best results. That'll be the most accurate, I guess, to real life. And speaking of that, last year, actually, my EA Sim was correct in predicting the Stanley Cup champion. Have our first ever back-to-back Stanley Cup champions since, I believe, the 96-97 Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So as you can see in that clip, our Sim was right in predicting Pittsburgh to be back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Hopefully the Sim can be right again. Very interested to see what happens. Forgot to mention too, guys, I went through every single playoff team, making sure all the lineups were authentic, like they had the exact first line forward, second line, the same, top 6D, power play even, and guys that were injured obviously weren't playing. Now, if they're expected to be back during the first round, I did put them into the lineup, so Joe Thornton's playing for the Sharks, but guys that are out, obviously like Suter from Minnesota, or big question marks like Johansson the Devils, I left them off the team. So hopefully, all the right lines, the full sim game style, 20-minute periods, the most authentic settings possible. This will give us a good result. So the bracket's now set. Let's see who EA predicts will be the Stanley Cup winner. So the simulation's complete, guys. The Boston Bruins are your 2018 Stanley Cup winner, actually sweeping the Winnipeg Jets in the Stanley Cup final. That would be kind of crazy. Honestly, I could see both teams being there. Obviously, if Boston can get by Toronto in the first round, I mean, they're definitely good enough. I think that's the toughest first round matchup, as I was saying. We'll take a look here at the playoff tree just to show you guys what went down. So Nashville there beating Colorado in 6 games, Winnipeg and Minnesota going 7, same with Vegas and LA, as well as Anaheim and San Jose. A ton of 7-game first round series. Then Winnipeg beat Nashville in 5, Anaheim beat Vegas in 5, then Winnipeg beat Anaheim in 5 to make it to the Stanley Cup final. In the East there, you have Tampa Bay beating the New Jersey Devils in 6. Boston, Toronto did go 7 games, same with Columbus and Washington. Pittsburgh actually got swept by the Flyers 4 games to none. That is shocking. Like, if that happens in real life, I'd be so surprised. Boston, Tampa Bay also went 7 games. So Boston had 2 back-to-back 7-game series there at the start of the playoffs. Then Philly beat Columbus 4-1. Really surprised by how good Philly did in the first couple rounds. Then, of course, Boston beat Philly there in 5 games before eventually sweeping the Jets in the Stanley Cup final. I honestly don't remember the last time a Stanley Cup final was a sweep, so that would be a shocker if that does happen. I'll show you guys also all the player stats here just to see kind of, I guess, who the Conn Smythe winner would have been. Scheifele, they don't win it, they get swept. I doubt he's winning it. Same goes for Wheeler. Bergeron there probably is your Conn Smythe winner. Him or Rask. We'll take a look and see how the goalie stats look. Obviously, it's going to be like all Boston, Winnipeg there, or Boston and Winnipeg players at the top. Getzlaf's the first non-Stanley Cup final player. Goalies here. Let's take a look. So Rask, 16-6-1, 3 shutouts there, .945 save percentage. That's actually unreal. 1.64 goals against. Elliott, I guess, had a crazy run for Philly. That's why they made it so far. 1.53 against. But yeah, Rass stats there. 0.945 and a 1.64. He's probably winning the Conn Smythe for Boston, so very similar to their 2011 Cup run where Tim Thomas basically willed them to win that Stanley Cup. But that's it, guys, for the simulation. Let me know what you thought of this, as well as my prediction in the comments section. I'm very interested to see what happens. I think this is going to be a great playoff. The teams are just all so close together. Literally anything could happen. I cannot wait. If you guys enjoyed this one, leave that thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. Tons more videos on the way. You don't want to miss out. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.